Imagine the unthinkable. A cutting-edge aircraft carrying 239 souls simply vanishes into thin air. That's the chilling story of Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370, an ordinary flight that turned into the greatest aviation mystery of our time. On March 8, 2014, this flight left Kuala Lumpur, bound for Beijing, only to disappear without explanation. What happened? Was it hijacked? Did the pilots play a role? Or is the truth darker than we could ever imagine? Explore into this story of suspicion, despair, and relentless searching. A mystery so profound it has captivated the world for nearly a decade. Segment 1. The night the sky went silent. Picture this. March 8, 2014, a quiet night at Kuala Lumpur International Airport. Among the travelers boarding Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 are 227 passengers and 12 crew members. Some are heading home, others are chasing opportunities. No one has the faintest idea that this ordinary journey to Beijing will never be completed. The aircraft, a Boeing 777-200R registered as 9M MRO, was considered a marvel of its time, safe, reliable, and trusted by airlines worldwide. Behind the controls sat Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah, a 53-year-old veteran pilot with over 18,000 hours of flying experience, joined by his young co-pilot, 27-year-old First Officer Farik Abdul Hamid. Together, they lifted the plane into the night sky at 12:42 a.m., heading northeast over the South China Sea. For the first 38 minutes, everything seemed routine. Then, just after 1:19 a.m., Captain Zahari's calm voice signed off with air traffic control. "Good night, Malaysian 370. Those 7 words would be the last anyone ever heard from the flight. Moments later, the plane disappeared from civilian radar, plunging the world into a mystery that has yet to be solved. But what's chilling is this. Military radar tracks the plane long after it goes dark. What military radar picked up was something strange. The plane had veered sharply west, crossing the Andaman Sea, a direction that made no sense, leaving behind a trail of questions. Instead of continuing northeast to Beijing, taking a turn was strange, and then continued flying for over an hour, heading towards one of the most remote corners of the world. By 2:22 a.m., the plane disappears completely from radar, 200 nautical miles northwest of Penang Island. Meanwhile, at Beijing Airport, families and friends waited eagerly for their loved ones. But the plane never arrived. Hours turned into panic. Then came the dreadful realization. Flight MH370 was missing. By March 17th, the focus shifts to this vast, desolate expanse. Australia takes charge, leading the most ambitious search operation in aviation history. On March 24th, the Malaysian government issues a heartbreaking statement. Flight MH370 ended in the southern Indian Ocean. As the hours passed, the world was gripped by disbelief. A state-of-the-art jetliner had simply vanished. How? In an age where we can track a phone in seconds, how could a massive aircraft go dark? The search began with urgency, but quickly spiraled into chaos. For weeks, the South China Sea and Andaman Sea were scoured by the world's best resources, but the plane was nowhere to be found. Then came an unexpected twist. Automated satellite handshakes. Automated signals from the plane's satellite data unit, last sent at 8:19 a.m., suggest the flight didn't just vanish. It flew for 6 more hours, revealing that MH370 had traveled southward over the Indian Ocean, a region so remote it was dubbed the world's loneliest place. The initial search effort is focused where the flight was last seen, the South China Sea and the Gulf of Thailand. But as hours pass, confusion sets in. No wreckage, no debris, nothing. For over a year, no trace of the plane was found. Then in July 2015, hope resurfaces. Wreckage began washing up along the western Indian Ocean. A piece of marine debris, identified as a fleperon from MH370, washes ashore on Réunion Island, followed by other fragments on Madagascar and Mozambique. Over the next year, more fragments turn up along the coasts of Africa and nearby islands. They confirmed one chilling fact: MH370 had met a watery end, but where exactly and why remained a mystery. But where is the rest of the plane, and why did it crash in such a remote location? Theories about MH370's fate began swirling almost immediately. Did someone on board hijack the plane? Was the pilot complicit, or was there something on the cargo manifest worth hiding? Some theories were practical, others bordered on the absurd, involving secret military experiments. But here's the truth: we still don't know. By 2017, after 3 years and $160 million spent searching 120,000 square kilometers of ocean, about 1,800 kilometers southwest of Perth, Australia. From October 2016 to January 2017, this exhaustive effort yields nothing. The operation was called off. MH370's location remains a heartbreaking riddle, its passengers lost to history. In 2018, a private company, Ocean Infinity, launches a new search targeting a site near 35.6-92.8, the area believed to be the crash site. Despite cutting-edge technology and months of effort, the search ends without answers. Behind closed doors, investigators turn their attention to the human element. Could the pilot, Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah, have been involved? While officially cleared, Malaysian police later name him the prime suspect in the event of human intervention. The reasoning? Flight simulations on his home computer show similar trajectories over the Indian Ocean. No distress signal, no technical failures, no bad weather. The lack of any explanation raises a haunting possibility. Was this a deliberate act? Adding to the enigma are 2 passengers traveling with stolen passports. Early speculation swirls around terrorism, but they're soon ruled out as suspects. With every lead dissolving into thin air, the 239 lives on board are reduced to a series of unanswered questions. The Malaysian government faces intense scrutiny, particularly from China, whose citizens made up the majority of passengers. Critics accuse them of withholding information and delaying the search efforts. This isn't just a story about a missing plane. It's about 239 lives torn from their families in a single night. And as much as we've learned, the most important question remains unanswered. What happened to Flight MH370? Segment 2. The Conspiracy of the Missing Transponder. It was around 1:21 a.m. on March 8, 2014, when the transponder on MH370 went silent, gone without warning. This crucial device, which constantly sent data back to air traffic control, was now dead. The captain, Zahari Ahmad Shah, a seasoned pilot with over 18,000 flying hours, was immediately under suspicion. But it was more than just a simple shutoff. The transponder was deactivated at the exact time when the flight path shifted away from its normal route. The plane started heading west, toward the unknown. And this disappearance wasn't just some technical malfunction. No, this was calculated. When investigators combed through the details, they learned that at that exact moment, the aircraft's communication system was manually turned off. Who had the power to do such a thing? But here's the twist. Some believe Zahari had no intention of disappearing. The man who had dedicated his life to aviation was not some criminal mastermind. So why would he turn off the transponder and head toward the Indian Ocean? Was this some form of suicide mission? Or did something more sinister force him to alter course? What if Zahari wasn't the sole person in control of that decision? Was there someone else on board, manipulating him? The investigation would soon reveal another startling clue. The flight path had been manipulated, not by autopilot, but by manual input. Could someone have used the flight control system to force the plane to change its course? It was as if the aircraft was being hijacked from within. At this point, investigators were left with only theories. Was this an act of terrorism, a hostage situation, or were the events unfolding as part of a larger international conspiracy? Segment 3. The shocking revelations in MH370's disappearance. As the search for MH370 stretched into years, a staggering realization began to sink in. This was no ordinary aviation tragedy. This wasn't just a plane gone missing in the vast ocean. There was something far darker at play. In the aftermath of the disappearance, Malaysian authorities took a close look at the pilots. They scoured their homes, seized financial records, and even scrutinized the actions of the crew. Their report in March 2015 revealed no major financial changes or signs of behavioral shifts in Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah or the rest of the crew. In the United States, officials were already forming their own conclusions, pointing to the likely scenario that someone in the cockpit of MH370 had reprogrammed the aircraft's autopilot, sending it on a deadly course across the Indian Ocean. Yet, in 2020, former Australian Prime Minister Tony Abbott dropped a bombshell in a Sky News documentary. Abbott revealed something that sent shockwaves through the aviation world. From the very top levels of the Malaysian government, they thought it was murder-suicide by the pilot. The government had suspected this from the very beginning. Was Zahari the mastermind behind the disappearance? Or was he just a puppet in a far bigger, more complex plot? In the world of scientific research enters the name Richard Godfrey, a retired British aerospace engineer whose obsession with the flight's mystery has driven him to a bold conclusion. According to Godfrey, it would only take one more search in the right location to finally bring MH370 into the light. Godfrey isn't alone in his conviction. Vincent Lean, a former researcher from the University of Tasmania's Institute for Marine and Antarctic Studies, has also dedicated years to solving the riddle of the missing plane. Lean, too, is convinced that the location of the plane isn't some impenetrable mystery. In fact, he claims the wreckage lies at a deep 6,000-meter hole, about 1,500 kilometers west of Perth, along the longitude of Penang. Penang, the captain's hometown, where Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah is thought to have flown the plane for a final emotional glimpse. Is it possible that Shah himself had been the one who orchestrated this tragic detour? Perhaps the plane's final journey wasn't just a flight of fate, but of personal significance. For Lean, the evidence is clear. The location reconciles all the data: cloud anomalies, the final flight track, and Shah's personal flight simulator. According to Lean, Shah mapped out a similar path just 6 weeks before MH370 disappeared, flying the exact route toward the southern Indian Ocean. But it's not just the location of the wreckage that haunts those like Godfrey and Lean. The how and why are still shrouded in darkness. Was the plane hijacked? Did mechanical failure bring it down? Or was it, as some suggest, a pilot-driven catastrophe, a tragic murder-suicide orchestrated by Shah himself? Theories abound, but even official investigations have remained divided. The ATSB report points to the possibility that Shah used his simulator to plot a course to fuel exhaustion, leading directly into the southern Indian Ocean. Could this have been a premeditated act? And then there's the grim reality of what we might find. Godfrey insists that finding the wreckage is the only way to truly understand what happened that night. DNA from the cockpit, a closer look at the evidence. This could provide the clarity we need. But despite the years of searching, the plane remains elusive. The seventh arc, the area believed to be the final descent path, has been scoured, yet no wreckage has been found. Lean believes the seventh arc is based on flawed assumptions, suggesting the plane didn't just plunge into the sea. It may have been intentionally flown into hiding. Godfrey's theory, based on his WSPR signals, paints a different picture. By tracking radio signals from that night, Godfrey has pinpointed a potential crash site, 30 kilometers from a central point, 1,500 kilometers west of Perth. If only one more search could be conducted, he's convinced MH370 would be found. Lean, however, holds his own belief. The wreckage lies along the longitude of Penang, linked to Shah's final emotional connection to the flight. A 300-kilometer cloud anomaly trail left behind as the plane hid within the clouds, a desperate attempt to evade detection. As the world continues to search for MH370, the disappearance of the flight has become one of the greatest unsolved aviation mysteries of all time. The world's most advanced technologies have been used to try and find it, but the truth remains as elusive as the plane itself. Could the pilot's fate truly be a tragic suicide, or were the events of MH370 part of a much larger, more ominous conspiracy? In the final moments, as the ocean swallows the aircraft whole, we are left with one haunting conclusion. Some mysteries are simply too dark, too deep to ever be fully understood. If this story has left you craving more unsolved mysteries, follow us at Mystery Media for the latest deep dives into the world's greatest enigmas. What we uncover next might just blow your mind. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to be part of this journey into the unknown.